I'm Adrienne Craddock. I'm a fine arts printmaker. I make collagraph prints and dry point etchings, and my work's quite illustrational. It's about animals, figures, and I usually work from stories, myths and fables. Now, I'm recently been working on a touring exhibition called Wagging Tongues, which is based on proverbs from around the world, and I've done that with two other artists. And we're touring it to 10 galleries around the UK. So I make images, and I try and sell my images in galleries, local galleries and commercial galleries. The touring exhibitions, the galleries pay for the exhibition, so we get a fee for the exhibition, so that's how I make money out of that. I've also been lucky enough to get an Arts Council grant for help with framing and publicity, etc. My other sort of head is my working in schools, my artist in schools role, where I go into schools and I do workshops with children, both primary and secondary, sixth form, and quite often colleges as well. And that in effect sort of funds me being in the studio making the images that I make. I'm lucky in that I don't really have to advertise my services there. I usually get phoned up. It's sort of word of mouth. I guess if I wanted more work, I could find it by marketing myself a bit more. There's a sort of balance really that I try and strike between the schoolwork and my own images, because it does take a long time to make the images I make, and the exhibition that I've been working on recently took over a year to, or maybe even 2 years to sort of plan and make. So yeah, I have to allow myself enough time to complete prints. I was lucky in that my dad was an artist as well. He was an artist, illustrator and designer. So I was always encouraged with my artwork. And my parents obviously didn't think it was some sort of crazy kind of hippie idea to go to art college or anything. So I always knew I would, I wanted to be an artist. I always drew and created things. So that's always, what I was going to be doing. However, I didn't think I'd be able to earn a living selling my work. I assumed I'd be a teacher. So after I went to college, I suddenly sort of found the confidence to sort of have a go and try and carry on making images and see if I could make it work that way. I then sort of went down the traditional route of art college. I did a foundation year at Hereford Art College, and then I went on to Poly, North Staffs Poly as it then was, I did fairly well. I got first class honours in printmaking, and so again that gave me the confidence to go on and do an MA, which I did in Manchester, a 2-year part-time MA. And again I sort of hit lucky when I was doing my MA in that I got a part-time job working in a school in Wigan, which was part of a fantastic scheme that they had in Wigan at the time, whereby they employed artists to work in schools. And the benefit to the artists was they got free studio space. Half the time they were there they did their own work, and half the time you worked with children, so it was fantastic. And in fact, I felt like I got more influence from the children and the children's work and the people that I was working with than I did really from my MA studies. So that was fabulous. And it was also being thrown in at the deep end, I suppose, in terms of teaching. You sort of faced with a class and you had to talk about your artwork, and you basically had to sort of observe, I suppose, how teachers did it and try and copy their methods. So I've kind of continued with that process. And in fact, the two processes that I use, the collagraph and etching, really come from that period when I was in the schools, and I couldn't use any form of sort of invasive printmaking with acids and things, so I had to keep things simple. And it's I really enjoyed that simplicity, and it's what I try and carry on with now. You know, I'm lucky enough to have my own studio now, that I'm a bit older and wiser, and you know, so my school work is just basically going in, doing workshops. But you know, I find that, you know, I'm not always doing workshops in printmaking like I used to. You know, I find that I'm doing all sorts of different processes and really using my creative skills, you know, to the full. So I might be doing sort of a wire workshop one week, printing on fabrics or banner printing another week, and then painting the next week. So it's never ever dull.